over 2,000 years ago, this man hung on the cross for everybody's sins besides his. He has never done any wrong. He's never done anything that was worthy of him hanging on the cross. But he had people like you, just like me, that had sin in their lives, and someone had to pay the price for it. So Jesus stood in the gap for you and for me and hung on the cross for each and every one of us. And he suffered for us. He took a beating. He was beat. Had a crown of thorns on his head, and blood was coming from his head. But he hung on that cross to signify that he will suffer for you. What am I trying to say? That no matter what you're going through right now, the suffering of hopelessness, the suffering of wanting to be with your friends back in school, wanting to have your favorite snack ever, the toaster strudel, whatever it is, whatever your suffering is, Jesus hung on the cross and had you in mind. And so when he hung on that cross with his arms stretched wide, he stood there with you in mind, and every drop of blood that was dropped, it had your name on it. And so when he hung on the cross and he suffered for you, guess what? It wasn't just a suffering then and just for then, but even 2,000 years later in 2021, that suffering still speaks today. And you don't have to suffer because he has already suffered. So say this after me: Jesus has suffered for me. Oh, look to your neighbor and say, you gotta say it louder. Jesus has suffered for me.